Thank you for listening to Inspired and Admired.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Inspired and Admired. My name is Matt Truman. Today on the podcast, I will be talking with Mark Campbell. He currently holds the at-large seat in the city of Huber Heights. He will be running this time in November for the Ward 5 seat. He'll be going up against Linda Marin. So, November 7th, make sure you're at the polls and you're voting. That's why we're doing these podcasts for you. I like this format. It's a one-on-one format. It gives, there's no time constraints. It gives the listener the ability to hear their candidate in a longer format. I'd like to think it's a more relaxed format, and the candidates are able to speak freely and as long as they need to. So I'm sure you've noticed, if you're not new to this podcast, that candidates' podcasts are different lengths. So there's never been a time constraint. I just let them say what they want to say to you, and you get to make your mind up on which one you feel is the right person for the job. So there's that. November 7th, get out there. I would like to say my thoughts and prayers are with the folks in Puerto Rico, and obviously with the folks in Las Vegas, all the people there, the first responders and the citizens who helped out and did their best in a horrible time. So, yeah. I wanted to say that. But anyway, Mr. Campbell and I have a great discussion. We go through all the key issues, and I think you'll enjoy this podcast like the other ones. So if you like this podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever this podcast is. We're on all the platforms: YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, pretty much everywhere. So, yeah, like it there. Subscribe to this podcast. This will be one of the last Huber Heights Citizens podcasts. Then we're going to go back into the normal Inspired and Admired program that I've tried to get, where we get different people here and there and talk about different stories that maybe are interesting and may, help someone somewhere down the road or just entertain someone. Anyway, that's about that. Let's get to the podcast. Here you go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Inspired and Admired. I'm here with Mark Campbell. He is running for the Ward 5 seat in the city of Huber Heights. Mr. Campbell, thank you for joining Inspired and Admired.
Thanks, Matt, for having me.
Just real quick, we've been doing a series of podcasts with as many candidates as we could get from Huber Heights. Give us a little bit of your background and tell us about yourself and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, Matt. I was born and raised in Huber Heights, and I've operated a business within Huber Heights for 4 decades, employing, several families and reinvesting in Huber Heights. I was actually married in Ward 5 to my wife, Lori, and we've raised 5 children in Huber Heights, and I've got to watch all 5 of them graduate from Wayne High School. Lori and I are both Wayne High School graduates, 1976. As a member of the City Council, Matt, I've worked alongside both Democrats and Republicans, and I've tried to never allow the partisan politics that get in the way of doing what's best for Huber Heights and its residents. And I've always been excited to watch Huber Heights grow, although I've volunteered for a number of years. My passion and dedication remains very high, and I look forward to what the future holds and in contributing specifically to Ward 5 for the next 4 years.
Oh, great. Now, what made you decide to run for Ward 5 this year?
Well, Nancy Burge and her husband had met with Lori and I, and Nancy had been proposing several projects in the city in general and had a desire to run at large. She thought that better served her, and she asked if I would consider running in Ward 5 and allowing her to run at large. I did agree to that. Something that sparked my interest in that was to be able to play a more concentrated role on council and to specifically focus on Ward 5. I've been a council representative at large for a number of years, and I saw this as an opportunity to serve a specific area. So, Matt, I hope that I can bring what I've learned and the knowledge I've gained working on city council specifically to Ward 5 and see if we can develop south of 70 in a manner like we have north of 70.
Great. Yeah, that's been a hot topic with these podcasts. So that's awesome.
Yes.
What do you think Huber Heights needs right now? What do you think you can do for the city of Huber Heights to help revitalize different things like that?
Yeah. Let me answer that by looking in the past and seeing some of the things that I've been involved in. Back in the early 80s, the city had acquired real estate on Interstate 70 by State Route 235.
Mm-hmm.
The development is known today as Centerpoint 70. When I first served in the 1990s, we developed that 300 acres, put the infrastructure in, partnered with Montgomery County through their EDGE program, and built most all the infrastructure and was able to sell shovel-ready lots to several businesses. A couple of the key businesses that located there back then, and they're still in business today, is IATA and ABF Trucking.
Okay, yeah.
That development generated about 2,000 high-paying jobs. So I'm very proud about that development, from raw land to 2,000 jobs. It's a very well-respected business park to this day. Then after that, the city was bound by the water company not wanting to increase the boundaries. They didn't want to go before the PUCO and extend the city's boundaries so we could grow. So the city negotiated with the privately held water company. We acquired Ohio Suburban, and it's been a city-owned system since 1995. It's been very profitable for the city. We've been able to upgrade the system while keeping rates very low in the region. And we're going to, in the future, soften water. And the water softening expense is going to be at a very reduced rate to the residents because of the cash that we've accumulated in the fund.
Okay.
I hope to take those types of experiences and help develop public and private partnerships within the Brant Pike Revitalization Program. I'm sure people have talked about that on your podcast.
They had, yes. That's been a hot topic as well.
Yeah, so the city has always had a history of leveraging outside money from the county and from the state and from the federal government on projects. And I hope to be able to bring some of that experience to the table. The consultants that helped us with the Brant Pike Revitalization Study indicated that two things needed to occur to develop that. That was, it needed to be TIFed, and we needed to establish public-private partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
If that area, the Brant Pike Revitalization, let's say south of 70, was going to develop in any significant way, it already would have. So I think it's going to take that public-private partnership that the city's been very successful at in the past, and it's going to have to be infused with TIF revenue, and we're going to have to do some of the same things that we've done north of 70, south of 70. So I think my experience, my passion, my dedication, and my enthusiasm will all play a part of that, along with serving city council and the residents. So I look forward to that opportunity and watch that area develop.
Great. Do you have any ideas at this time where a TIF district could be set up south of 70? Is there any ideas at this time, or is that coming later on down the road?
Yeah, there's significant acreage that's already TIF'd, Matt,
okay,
south of 70. And we'll just attract business. Private dollars are going to have to be in play here. I would point to what Kettering has done very successfully with their Town and Country Shopping Center. The city of Kettering has done grants and loans to shopping centers, specifically Town and Country, where they would match by 10% any development that would be invested by the companies that own these sites. For example, Town and Country had proposed a $7 million redevelopment of Town and Country, and Kettering said, if you'll spend $7 million, we'll loan you and forgive that loan of $700,000 in incentives to cause that to happen. And if you drive past the Town and Country Shopping Center, you know, it's been redeveloped and looks like brand new.
Yeah, I've seen that. Great. So you were talking about the Brant Pike revitalization project. How do you feel that's coming along, and where do you see it going in the future?
Well, we've hired the consultant. The consultant has done their work. They are working currently with staff. The two major things that they indicated needed to occur was TIF and private-public partnerships, and we've been updated recently by staff. They're probably going to get back with us, I would say, in the next 60 to 90 days with some plan of what we can do in steps, maybe phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be some public initiative that can take place in maybe some streetscaping, some setbacks, and just some reinvestment along with not only the city but the private sector. Sure.
Sounds good. So we've talked about the TIFs. That's another question that I'd like to bring up.
Yes.
There is the social media. There's been some back and forth with different council members here and there. Where is your stand, or where do you stand with social media, and how do you feel about social media as a council person?
Well, you know, Matt, I believe that social media can be a useful tool for engaging residents, but it has on occasion served as a mechanism for political sniping, let's say.
Sure.
Spread misinformation, being unprofessional, and it all just brings a negative light on the city. My preference for engagement is to have conversations with the residents and utilize forums where, you know, we can have some factual debate and can lay out constructive dialogue. Social media can be difficult to hold a forum like that.
That's true.
You know, and I don't disapprove of it on the whole, but I would just implore members of council to retain, you know, a sense of professionalism when using it.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Another issue that has come up, you and I both, we worked on the charter review committee, or commission together. The charter review, to take out the city manager residency requirement, that went to the voters, and the voters passed, or they voted yes to keep it in the charter. Where do you? It's a hot topic. It's an issue that gets talked about quite a bit. It did a while back, and now it's kind of gets talked about from time to time by council and a lot on social media. Where do you stand with the city manager residency requirement and that issue?